Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot divination for Monday, the 18th day of July, 2022. Well, I hope you all had a great weekend. We discovered on our irrigation company's Facebook page that apparently my husband follows them on Facebook, so periodically he'll see posts that come through that give us information that we need to have. They're going to cut back the water. The river is down, so they're going to cut back the irrigation water beginning this week. So that should be fun. At least we got one cutting of hay. We'll see where that takes us, though. Maybe it won't be too impactful, at least not yet, but we're coming up into some 100-degree heat. So, boy, oh boy, here we go. It begins. So we didn't get any stock runs last year either in the wintertime, and I doubt we'll get any this year. They're doing these piping projects in the main ditches, and that eliminates the ability to fill our ponds or anything. So we may have to focus the water in there and just irrigate out of them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But in any event, let's go ahead and take a look at today's esoteric influences for the 18th. Now that comes from the weekly post I do over on the blog at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. And if you forget, you can click on Show More and scroll past the description of what this is. And down below that, you'll see some links. Some of them are social media links. Some are links to some of the newer books I've written, and also it also takes you to the blog. So anyhow, you might check that out if you like, and give the blog a like if you would, or follow it, however, whatever you do in those situations. So let's take a look at today's esoteric influences with the 18th. That gives us a 9 numerology, so ending is completion, generosity, and spirituality. The rune today from the influences is Ansu's, which is known as Odin's rune. It's higher self, it's eloquence, it's clarity and divine message. Caput Draconis is the Geomancy rune from the post, and it's the head of the dragon. It is governed by the north node of the moon, so you're talking about the future. So new beginnings, the entrance, on the threshold, the upper kingdom. The sun's in Cancer, the moon's now in Aries. It went into Aries at 4:18 this morning. And the planetary governance for those of you working magic today, as you know, is the moon. So feminine stuff and meditations and healing and balance and change and all of that. So a new direction is possible today. Your energy is high, and you need to choose wisely where you invest your time and inner resources. Issues with a partner, however, could arise, especially if expressing your feelings becomes challenging. And it may be you need a level of healing that only higher awareness can provide. Staying focused on the details may help your emotions out of the keep your emotions out of the equation and enable you to express your vision to others. Although you have a need to be recognized for your achievements, you refuse to do so at the expense of others, which is a good thing. So many people just step all over others to get to where they want. However, it may also be that you've given your own perspective away long enough, and it's time that others hear what you have to offer. So kind of strike a balance there. You know, if you if you feel like that's happening to you, that you tend to just sit back and let others decide everything, and you really do have something to offer, you'll know how best to offer that, and whether or not it's you're being pushy or not. But sometimes, even the quiet ones, it's like, hear me today, hear me, this is important. And people stop and they listen because maybe you never say anything any other times. It's like, oh, what do they have to say? So anyway, that may be what that's about. So I try to keep the everything I do as general as possible, whether it's here or in the esoteric influences or anything else that I'm doing interpretations for, divinations and all of that. Unless it's really definitely specific to something, I try to keep it as general as possible because it could apply to so many different things. And people's lives are, so varied that somebody ought to be able to find something about it, that can be helpful. So let's see. Today's rune is Uruz. Uruz is the oryx. Kind of looks like the shape of a old ancient bison-looking creature. I heard that they've got some DNA and they're going to remake them, I guess. I don't know. Someone is somewhere. That'll be interesting to see how big they get. Because bison are pretty big to begin with, but I guess the aurochs were just huge. But this is about strength. It's also about with the as they call the horns pointing downward, the legs pointing downward. It's about manifestation into form as well. What are we going to manifest? Are we going to manifest from higher awareness, or do we manifest from ego? But this is about having inner strength to do all of that. They call it kind of the primal forming essence. So in a sense, it's the energy behind the manifestation. So it could then imply the thought process, maybe. One book I read called it Drizzle, which I thought was interesting. It's all that icy, or maybe not icy, but that stuff that comes together to form the thoughts. And where is that coming from? Is it coming from the reactive ego, or is it coming from higher awareness, from the soul? And I think that with Urus, we're really talking about that inner awareness, that before, instead of the actual manifestation of the doing of it, it's really the thought process behind that. And where is that coming from? So that would be the above side of the significators. The runes I use, if this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by and checking this out. I start with the esoteric influences, and then I move on to the significators for the reading. And the significator, what that means, if you don't know what that means, that just means the main primary focus of what the reading is going to be about. So what are we going to manifest today? That's the above side. The below side would be the geomancy runes. And I throw down 4 elemental runes here. And let's see, what do I have? Oh, okay. I have Pur, which is the complement of Puella. And we're talking about youthful energy, either one, Puella or Puea or Pur. Only this would be the little boy energy, so scattered little boy energy. If you have sons, you know what I mean. I have 2. Well, they're adults now, but before, they're very curious, and they wanted to know everything, and they wanted to explore everything. If you bought them a learning toy of some kind, which were not as sophisticated back in the day, in the 80s, as they are now, they would literally have it taken apart because they wanted to know what was inside it. It's like, okay, is it still going to work once daddy puts it back together? Well, typically it would, because they wouldn't really take apart anything for any further, but they'd take the lid off of it, essentially. They'd separate it so they could see what it looked like. So that's Pur energy. Little lack of impulse control there with the brand new, Christmas presents or birthday presents or whatever, or just something we saw and thought, hey, they might like this, apart it would come. Kind of like their dad. He does the same thing. What's inside that? How does that work? But it's a lack of impulse control. And so your manifestations today should at least try to reflect something that has a higher purpose and maybe understands the bigger picture. And where is it coming from? Is it coming from pure reaction, or is it coming from a more a source type manifestation energy? So let's see what the cards have to say, though. I've done some shuffling already. I have not dropped any today, which was good. I did drop my geomancy runes when I grabbed them, and I got one of them. It was the air element one. I code each one to the elements, and then there's a single dot on one side, which is an active presence, and a dual dot, 2 dots on the other side, which is a passive presence. And what you do is you throw them down and put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth, and then you get, a rune that looks something like this. I mean, well, this particular one does. And from there you can use them in divination. You can cast what would be like a chart. 2 different kinds they offer. What's called a shield chart, and the other is more of a putting it in the houses, astrological houses. Agrippa used to do that. But it's just an interesting way. It's an earth. I view it as an earth element, earth energy type of a divination tool, in the same way that I would view looking at ley lines or looking at working with a pendulum. To me, that's all earth-based. It's, in other words, there's a magnetism toward the earth versus and so in that case the body. So that's why I view it as the below side of things. It's not necessarily a negative. It's just energetically where it sits on the axis. So, all right. Well, we've got 2 cards from the major arcana. So soul archetype cards here are going to govern this reading. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles starts us off. But we're looking at a 4 energy, and that's going to be kind of an earthy number, and so that's going to align really well with Pentacles. Pentacles is an earth element suit. But the Wheel of Fortune is the 10 reduces to 1, 12 is the Hanged Man, and so that reduces to 3, so 3 and 1 is 4. So you're looking at foundation and structure and all of that for the 4, grounding. And again, Urus could have an element of grounding there too, grounding that energy into form, that manifestation energy, if you will. But again, doing it from the type of focus that's a little more higher awareness based. And again, with the Wheel of Fortune and the Hanged Man, that's reinforcing that. So let's see what we have here. Let's start with the Knight of Pentacles. He sits atop a gorgeous black horse, very sturdy looking black horse. And again, Pentacles, the earth element, you're talking about security, reliability. It's really all about our physicality and form. And so anything to do with work and home and tradition and loyalty and, all of that, very Othala-like in that regard. But he has his visor up, so there's nothing that's happening. He's not going into battle. He's focused on the future because he's going, well, that way. I have to do it backwards. But it's almost like he's standing there, sitting there on atop his horse, looking out over the town that he's guarding, that he's providing protection for, security for, and he's basically offering that material security or protection for the material aspects of their lives, because he's kind of holding that coin out and offering, isn't he? And it just feels to me like he's kind of higher up, looking out over the village or the town or the area that he's there to help and to protect. So what is he protecting? When you look at the Wheel of Fortune, you're looking at Mercury, sulfur, and salt. You're looking at, these are the hermetic representations of all of this. In the corners, you have the representations of the elements. And you have the wheel that's turning. It says tarot with some Hebrew letters in between each letter. It says tarot. And tarot really is, when you look at, especially about when you're looking at the major arcana, you're looking at the soul archetype cards, and you're looking at the progression of the soul, the things the soul works on, brings into play, however you want to see that. And then the minor arcana and the court have to do with the details of all of that. So the details here, we're really focused on protection and material security and all of that. So when the wheel turns, we're talking about success. We're talking about new beginnings. With the 10 energy, you're looking at both endings and beginnings. And when you write the Roman numeral 10 out, you write it as an X. Well, if my pen would write, you would. Oh, do I have another one? No, I don't. Wait a minute. I just used that one. I don't know why it's not working. But anyway, you have the X, okay? So that could be, it could also be Gebo, which is balanced energy exchange. But if you terminate the ends, what do you have? You have Dagaz. And Dagaz is about endings and beginnings, all right? About one thing coming to an end and another thing beginning. Well, in a sense, that's what's happening with the turn of the wheel. You come around full circle. It's that concept of coming around full circle. And so you're looking at fortune, prosperity, cycles, movement, success. But it's the movement will be the continual turning of that wheel. So you're going to have success at some times. You're going to maybe, not have so much other times. So in a sense, instead of really a wheel, it ought to be like this, like a sine wave. But instead, we just think of it as the turning of the wheel. And all of the fundamental energies that go into making that happen. The manifestation of it. In a sense, it aligns very well, I think, with Uruz, given that Uruz is the primal forming essence behind everything. And so where are we going to, when we're trying to manifest success or something that is, in this case, material security maybe, how are we doing that? Are we doing it with a lack of impulse control that Poor would suggest? Or are we doing it from a higher perspective where you can understand the bigger picture? It's easy, I think, to look at the immediacy of things and not understand or try to understand, okay, if I make this choice, how is that going to play out fully in terms of the Wheel of Fortune? How is that when the wheel turns, I make that choice, I start doing what I do to manifest success? Well, what's that going to look like? Do I have any, can I kind of look forward and see the future a little bit and imagine, okay, if I engage this way, what's going to be the final result? How does this really going to play out? Can you anticipate the pitfalls? Can you anticipate the areas where it's really working and where you want to reinforce that? So it's being able to see the bigger picture in your manifestations, or is it just simply reacting to the moment? And sometimes, we have to do that. There's something that demands our attention. We've got to deal with it right now, and we can't necessarily. We're not really in a position to think about all this other stuff. There's no time, right? Well, when there is, the Wheel of Fortune would suggest that this is a little more long-term and not just in the moment, right? And so it's sort of a progressive building of things with all of the elemental components and the mercury, sulfur, and salt. Those are primary elements, I think. And so you're really looking at the foundation of things, which I think also reinforces the Knight of Pentacles. When you're thinking about your material security, are you going to think about what, in others, another way to look at it is, what kind of values am I manifesting from? Am I, is it the type of values that are spirit-based or soul-based or higher awareness-based, or is it all ego-based? What's in it for me? So there you could think in terms of service to self and service to others. And can you see the bigger picture, or are you just so totally focused on your own stuff that the rest of your family, your community, whatever your decisions impact? Because let's face it, they rarely just impact us individually. There's going to be a trickle down effect to somebody, even if it's just your partner. So, or even if it's just your cat and your dog you might have, or your property that you have. Maybe you're making decisions and you're at the expense of mowing the yard or something. There's always an impact somewhere, right? Even if it doesn't seem like it's very important, there is one. So the answer there then, how do you achieve the higher awareness that Uruz provides, or is suggesting should happen? You hang upside down from the gallows pole. And in this case, if you look at this from a Druidic or Norse type of perspective from that pantheon, then this would be Odin hanging upside down from the world tree, gaining enlightenment. You see the enlightenment happening here. The hangman's really, though, it's about surrender. and alignment and transformation and change and sacrifice. It's an as above, so below type of a card. You see triplicities everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So you see the triple aspects of everything. You can think of that as mind, body, spirit, maybe. But this is really about surrendering to spirit, surrendering to higher awareness. So I think that the obvious answer here, which we really didn't need the cards to say this, I don't think, is that, when you're dealing with a lack of impulse control, you get excited about new opportunities, and maybe you jump in without really understanding how they're going to manifest or what you're going to do to make them happen. And sometimes they look so good that, you forget, if you have a family, of the impact to the family or your spouse or partner, what have you. Or just the impact to the commitments you've made to other kinds of stuff. So, you get a job offer or something, and it seems exciting, but in the long run, it's only going to be temporary, or in the long run, maybe you're not going to make as much money. You might be happier, so you might want to do that. If you can live on less money, then that's fine. But if it impacts your family, then maybe not so good. I don't know. So it's thinking about, getting above it all and being the knight, and taking a look at the overall situation, and how best can I provide material security and protection, either to myself or to other people as well. Especially if you have a partner or of some kind, or you have a family. You have responsibilities, and with the Knight of Pentacles, it really starts the reading out of whatever you're going to be manifesting. You've got to get a hold of the impulse control issue, because you don't want to do anything that's going to impact other people, and impact their material security. In a family, it's not, especially if you're the sole breadwinner, you don't, if mom's at home, or dad's at home or whatever, and the other mom or dad is, or it's mom and mom, whatever your family structure is, you've got one parent who's doing the working, and the other parent is home parenting the children. I shouldn't suggest, though, that's not to suggest that the parent at home parenting the children isn't work, because my one son and his wife, they have 3 children now, and it's work. It's exhausting. The kids have so much energy, even, and the 6-month-old is I have a feeling he's going to be everywhere. So very curious, very focused, in some respects, I guess, even more focused on what's going on than the other 2 were at their age, the 6-month age and stuff. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's important. But if you're the one bringing the money in, it's got to be enough to survive with. It's got to be enough to provide food and pay the bills and buy clothing for the ever-growing children. And I know, because we buy clothing for presents, and it's like, oh my God, I have to check every time. What size are they now? Because they're growing so fast, But again, with the Knight of Pentacles, it's really talking about, along with Uruz, the what are we going to manifest in terms of material security, and reinforced by the wheel. How is that going to all play out? You have to be able to forecast the future, and project what it's like in a business. When you want to do something in the business, well, you've got to be able to project out how much that's going to cost, and whether or not you're going to have the funds to do it, and how will we keep the money coming in while we're doing this new thing. You have all these things to think about. Well, it's no different, than in your life, So if this is involving a new job maybe that you're considering taking, you've got to project out, how is this going to impact my material security or the material security of my family? And so you have to surrender to the moment. You have to surrender to the greater aspect of self that you're trying to deal with here. It cannot simply be about you unless you're the only person involved. And surrendering to spirit, surrendering to that higher awareness, gets you in that thought process that's less reactive, less poor, basically, little boy energy, where it's, oh, there's this, and there's this, and there's this. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to take some time out and quietly go within and really think about, where is this coming from? What will this do for me? And what will it do for my family if there's a family involved? And manifest the Uru's energy from a standpoint of spirit energy and spirit awareness, higher self, than what the ego is going to give you. Because ego is going to be, oh yeah, cool, let's go do that. You know, well, all right, maybe. But maybe you will. But it's got to make sense in the broader scheme of things. And I think that that's what the reading's trying to suggest here. Where are you going to manifest from? Is it going to be from just, you know, like, ooh, cool, let's go get that, let's go buy that, let's go do that, you know, without even thinking about it? Or are you going, you know, where is the thought process involved in that coming from? Is it, you know, again, coming from higher awareness or coming from the lower vibrational energy of the ego? So it sounds like some material security things are coming into play on the Monday. It's like, yeah, okay. It's just like, yeah, how much water am I not going to get from my field? Well, you know, that's kind of that. So we have to make some other decisions if that's the case. We have to kind of do things a little bit differently. And might have to let a piece of the pasture go until next year, but we'll see. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, we're in a drought. This is we were told, you know. The problem is the rates went up like $200 this year. It's like, so it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. And do click subscribe. Do click on the like button, I guess. That's what they like us to say on YouTube. And click subscribe and come back and you know, come back for Thursday's edition of As Above, So Below, and find out all the things you can think about from then, you know, till the following Monday. So anyway, see how this resonates, and you know, if it does, great. If not, just keep it in mind, and maybe it'll come up for you next week or something. And where issues of material security is like, okay, I remember something about that. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and have a really great day. And until we meet again on Thursday, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.